There was quite a bit of controversy surrounding the Major League-wide institution of the DH full-time in 2022. However, this died down pretty quickly once people got to see what the sport could actually look like when all 9 hitters, can hit. This obviously meant that outside of players like Shohei Ohtani and bizarre circumstances, we weren't going to see hurlers at the plate but once in a blue moon. And such a blue moon just occurred yesterday, oddly enough in the American League and for both teams, leading to something that has never happened in the DH era before. We'll get to more of that later, but first let me take you through the game itself between the Orioles and Rangers, which was scoreless through the first 2 innings, with the only notable play being this Marcus Semien sliding catch on a line drive with 2 runners on. Things would really get going in the third when the Orioles loaded the bases with nobody out, bringing catcher Gary Sanchez to the plate, today at DH, who would promptly knock in every single runner with a line drive down the left field line, giving Baltimore a 3-0 lead. It was then, as Baltimore was taking the field in the bottom of the third, that something odd became clear. Chadwick Tromp, great name by the way, had exited due to injury, forcing Sanchez out of his position at DH to behind the plate, meaning that after starting pitcher Trevor Rogers managed to retire Texas successfully in that frame, he would have to hit himself in the top of the fourth, because Baltimore had surrendered the DH by moving Gary out of it. This brings us to Trevor's first at-bat, which saw him take a perfectly placed sinker over the low and outside corner for strike 1, then take his first and only swing on a cutter middle low, the kind of hack that reminds you of why we have designated hitters in the first place. On the 0-2, Corbin would flip a breaking ball low, but close enough to be called strike 3, ending the at-bat about as quickly as it had begun. Nothing much would take place between this plate appearance and his next one in the 6th, so I'll just fast forward there, with him again taking a sinker on the black for strike 1. Patrick would then paint another breaking ball, an offering he would follow up by just laying a sinker right down the middle, ending the second straight pitcher taken AB on another 3 pitches. Rogers would then hop back on the mound and proceed to give up a 2-run home run shortly after, a moonshot to left center field off the bat of Marcus Semien. And it would be tied just 1 inning later, when Sanchez, who wasn't even supposed to catch that day, made a throwing error to second base, which ended up allowing rookie Michael Hellman to scamper all the way around, on one of the more bizarre plays you'll see. Things would remain knotted all the way until the top of the 10th, when Gunnar Henderson managed to crush a leadoff home run, scoring the ghost runner and giving his team a 2-run lead, which Colton Cowser would extend on a solo shot just 2 batters later, giving Baltimore a pretty healthy lead going into the bottom of the 10th, where they would turn to lefty Keegan Aiken to try to end this one. But he would be able to do no such thing, giving up a single to Semien before grooving a fastball right down the middle to Adolis Garcia, who murdered the ball to left field, offering up a truly electric reaction immediately following. Suddenly, we were all tied up again. This would be, however, all the Rangers could score in this inning, pushing it to the 11th, where Baltimore proceeded to blow this one open, first on an RBI single from Luis Vasquez, then on back-to-back doubles from Ramon Laureano and Henderson, pushing the Orioles' lead all the way to 10-6. After a Josh Young pop-out versus Andrew Kittredge, it was Kyle Higashioka's turn to hit, but he had been pinch run for back in the bottom of the 9th, which had forced, in a nearly identical move to the one made earlier, the Rangers to use that day's starting designated hitter, Jonah Heim, behind the plate. Unfortunately for Texas, their bench had been completely exhausted since, meaning they too would have to send up a pitcher to hit, choosing righty Jack Leiter, who would start his extremely unexpected AB by taking a mid-90s sinker on the inner half. This was followed up by one a bit more center cut, but still at 95. You can probably guess what was coming on the 0-2, a breaking ball perfectly placed over the low and outside corner, dispatching Leiter on just 3 pitches. 1 batter later, and the game was officially over, with the final score coming in at that aforementioned 10-6. Per Sarah Lang on Twitter, this was the first time that both American League teams in a single contest had sent pitchers up to the plate since the DH rule had been instituted in 1973. And in those plate appearances, they saw just a combined 9 pitches in 3 at-bats, swinging at just 2 and striking out all 3 times. In my mind, this serves as a reminder of what we were subjected to back when pitchers actually had to bat every night in the NL, which oftentimes looked a lot more like this than when Mad Bum would manage to crush a grand slam or something. Now, thank you so much for watching, and please remember that if you ever see anything you'd like to see detailed in the Made the Cut video, whether that be a specific play, player, or narrative surrounding a team or something, feel free to reach out to my email, basebeatpoet@gmail.com, and if I do end up using your idea, I'll of course give you a shout out. Thank you so much once again, and I'll see you in the next one.